Yo, 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 yo. Let me pull up chat here. Hold on.
Oh, I will do that too.
Okay. All right. Okay. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Hello, what is up? Welcome to episode 341 of the Center Ring Esports podcast presented by Alt. And this is going to be the best episode ever. It is a classic episode. Counter-Strike is back for real this time. We have LAN Counter-Strike, and we will talk about it and get you up to date with Cologne. A little bit more in e-news. And that's it. Just a classic Counter-Strike episode. Anything else that comes up, we'll just have to wait and see. You never know. Go ahead and go to altesports.com right now. They sponsor the show. You know this. I've said it 1,000 times, and I'll say it 1,000 more. You need Alt in your life as much as you need TCR in your life. Go to altesports.com. You can pick yourself up some of their summer apparel line, tie-dye shorts. Get ready for the fall where it's hoodie, short weather. Unanimous best weather out there is when you can wear shorts and a hoodie. You can look fly AF, as the kids say, with Alt Esports. Go to altesports.com. I want to thank you for coming on the show. Well, that's the full interview for Robs. I refuse to let this happen. Live production. Hold on.
Is that what you started playing?
Yeah, this was a... There we go. And 3, 2, 1.
Hey, I'm Rams from Mouseparts, and you're listening to TCR.
Okay, so let's start.
Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome. Welcome back to another edition of the Center Ring, aka TCR, aka your favorite esports podcast presented by Alt. Episode 341 coming to you live and or pre-recorded from an undisclosed location. The date 7/7/21. The time 9:19 p.m. Central Time. Go ahead and follow us on Twitter. And our Discord is in the link there. As well, you can follow us on YouTube. Watch all of our beautiful faces. You can watch the show live. And if you were watching live, you would have witnessed just a little production fluke. And that's the rawness that you get with us, because we all know we don't edit on this show. But if you listen to the podcast, on the other hand, we do edit. So if you're listening on the podcast, you will never know that I played the wrong intro sounder through the magic of editing. But we don't do video editing. That's for fancy people. We do it all live, one cut. My name is Tim. I will be your captain for this journey into esports, and alongside me, as always, is my best friend, my brown friend. It's Anuj. What's up?
What's up, dude? Just looking at some potential breaking news going on Twitter as you're reading the intro here.
Oh, what's going on?
Valorant Cloud9 possibly making a change, benching Floppy, it looks like, for Poise.
All right.
Didn't see that change come. Not to say that Poise isn't deserving, but you know, when Floppy made the switch from CS, I thought his stint would be a little bit longer.
Though also a little shocking that they made him do the transition from CS, because it's not like he was like an all-star for their CS side either.
Yeah, I think the assumption is if you come from CS, you're good enough to play at this point.
I mean, he's made it a while. We're finally, in general, in Valorant, we're finally seeing the the CS pixie dust fade a little bit. Like I think that carried you this far, but I think the CS boys are finally losing that respect.
NBK can change that if he comes in and dominates.
Yeah, he's a little different, but yes, I would not put Floppy and NBK on the same level of.
What do you mean? There's no spots in maps named after Floppy?
No, there is
How
not.
long before we have an NBK spot in a map in Valorant?
Give it time. Give it time. He's first got to official go pro. Remember, he's just practicing and streaming at the moment.
The Tarek method.
Yep. All right. I will say this, and I don't know if it's going on. I think it's just in my headphones. I hear crackling. I think that is a byproduct of my son taking my headphones and throwing them. So I don't think that's going on the recording. If it is, though, apologies. But I don't think it is. I think it's all in my head. I just want to get that out there before someone's like, hey, your audio is making noises. I know, but I don't think it is. I think it's in my head. So we'll get through it. We'll power through. Last time will be a distraction. Anuj, last episode, I made the not so bold claim that I could qualify for the Olympics. And you said, give me some summer. We're looking at summer just because we're on topic and it's right around the corner. I think July 23rd? Does that sound about right?
Somewhere around there.
I see the NBC commercials all the time while watching other sports. So some summer Olympic sports here that I have for you that I think. So here's the thing. I am not saying I could go tomorrow and qualify, right?
You're saying give you 4 years,
Yes.
completely taken care of family, and
if
you just
Elon,
focus on.
Right. If Elon Musk wanted to sponsor me and being like, Tim, I'll give you like $150,000. Your wife doesn't have to work, don't have to worry about the kids, you don't have to worry about anything. Like, you are hooked up, right? You'll get the trainers, you'll get whatever, but for 4 years, all you're doing is focusing on qualifying for the Olympics. I think I could do that easily.
What sport?
Easily. So I have a handful here for you.
You have a handful you can do.
A handful. I mean, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket.
Before you start your journey down this path, I want to remind you, every Olympic athlete is doing this full time. And every Olympic athlete has been doing this full time for
But they have other
years.
life. They have other life distractions. I am not having that.
Okay. Give me your sports.
I'm just going
I'm
off.
going to give you a yes, no as you go.
Okay. Archery shooting.
No.
I feel like I could. I mean, not physical. So that's a huge plus for archery shooting.
Archery would take like years to perfect, just like shooting a gun perfectly would do.
And that's why I have years. Again, all I'm doing is this.
Okay, I get it. You watch a lot of Lord of the Rings. You're feeling hyped.
This isn't just going out on the weekend. This is waking up in the morning, eating and breathing it.
It's different than your hunter main in WoW.
I don't have a hunter main. He's dead to me. Let's see here. I have some other ones. Rugby. Only because I feel like any American playing rugby, and I don't care on what level, is typically just like your normal dude anyways, that just kind of casually does it. Like I feel like if I would get on that team, like every one of my teammates on the rugby Olympic teams would be like, yeah, dude, we did the same exact bit that you're doing. Like Elon Musk sponsors all of us to do this. So, because there's no American takes rugby serious.
Your one advantage is you're already on the bigger side in the sense if you just bulked up with muscle.
Bulk up.
And like really worked out and like made, all of a sudden your 40 went from whatever it is now to like a solid 4.5, 4.6, 4.7, maybe some long shot there.
A lot of the websites I was reading were saying badminton.
No
I don't
way.
think badminton. No, I think I would get dominated in like.
It would take you 3 years to finally just be able to beat an average player.
That's what I'm saying. Let alone that is just qualifying. Like I'm not expecting to medal. It's just to qualify, to say I qualified. But
No,
even then,
I get that.
I feel like the
The-
badminton crowd are like the people that
Bro, these guys, like their dexterity, you would never be able to
yeah,
get to like
yeah.
that level of
No.
like movement.
No, like online was like, do badminton. I'm like, put some respect on the badminton crowd. I don't think I could do that. Rowing. I feel like that is something I could catch up to. Put me in the middle of the boat. I don't need to be the commander. I don't need to be the caboose. You put me in the middle and just tell me to row. Work out the arms. Okay? My forearms are already worked out daily. Sometimes twice a day. Sometimes twice a day, both arms.
See, but the rowing community to me is a community that's been doing this probably since they're all like rich kids that grew up in crew and they have been
This is
rowing
true.
for 25 years.
I would have to
And
move to like
so,
Hartford or something like that if I wanted to do.
like just even like thinking about how good those people probably are.
But
So
again,
I'm gonna throw that for me. Again, this is my yes no, right? So not to discourage you. I want to put that in the so I
nothing
got
could
two
discourage.
no's
I'm just
and
saying,
a potential maybe
rowing.
with rugby.
Again, it's just not like I don't need like you were saying like with badminton. I don't need to have like dexterity. It's literally just
No, but you
back
got to
and
be the
forth.
top 4 people in the world in that sport in a 4-year time span.
I think
Is
I
what
could
I'm
do
saying.
it.
Or top 4 in your country, right? So in the U.S.,
Right.
which is notoriously good at most of these sports,
I could do it. I think I could do. I could sneak my way into rowing.
we've been gaming for 25 years. We've never been top 4 in any game we played.
Again, never just 4 years, no worries about it.
What did you do your last couple years of high school and first few years of college?
Oh, I was a semi-professional gamer, sir. In Rainbow Six, Vegas 1 and 2. Must I remind the
So when
folks in
you
the
were
back.
putting your time in, the best you could do was go semi-pro.
That's qualifying. I
That's
never
not
said
qualifying for
win.
the Olympics.
I never
If you
said
were
win.
qualifying for the Olympics with the Rainbow Six team, you would have been one of the top 5 players in the U.S. to qualify.
Back to my qualifying for the actual Olympics.
Are you trying to qualify for the Olympic trials, to where you're just trying
Boxing.
out to make it for your
I
country?
think I
or
could
trying
qualify
the
for boxing.
Olympics? Boxing?
Because no real boxer goes to the Olympics. And if Logan Paul can do it. He proves that all you need is money and time to be good at boxing.
Again,
And you don't have to say like you have to be one of the best, because the best don't go to the Olympics. These are already like the scraps of the boxing world that goes to the Olympics.
it's like college and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put that in the hard no category for boxing.
Boxing is so overrated. They're barely athletes. Barely athletes.
You're about to
Barely.
start, like now it's going to be like a podcast versus something else. Boxing match is about to go hype and be on pay-per-view here in the next few
Bro, if a
weeks.
bunch of TikTokers and YouTubers can all of a sudden hype up boxing like they're legit, I have no concern. That I might
Like
be able to
Logan
meddle
Paul
in.
is like 6'5", 220 pounds, and he's fought in rigged matches where they're being paid off to, hey, let's let this match go the distance. Like if you're thinking if Floyd Mayweather couldn't have just dominated him and probably TKO'd him first round, you've got to be fooled. And that's 40-year-old Floyd
Again,
Mayweather. Okay, so
They're not going to the Olympics. I don't need to worry about Floyd Mayweather in the Olympics.
40-year-old Floyd Mayweather.
I need to just worry about the other chumps who are trying to get into boxing. Boxing, I could go in blindfolded and get in. And last but not least, and before you throw this away, fun fact, I actually did this for a very short period of my life. Equestrian.
fucking kill the horse, dude.
I
No.
I have done that at one point in my life. So out of all of these where I actually have
You've done what? You've ridden a horse, or you've done the sport equestrian as a sport?
I've
jumping
trained
horse?
horses to do like the obstacles and the jumps and like the side steps and all
But
that.
in this, you're on the horse. You're not like. It's
No,
not
I
like a
was
dog.
on the horse. I did horse riding for like a summer. So I'm just saying, young Tim could dig deep inside and do it. Now that would be my least favorite because I would have to deal with a horse, which is disgusting. They're disgusting animals, so I wouldn't want to do that anyways. But either way, what I'm saying is Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, who's no longer the CEO of Amazon, he's got free time. He's just worrying about his space program. You hook me up. I will get a tattoo on my chest of your brand. We can sponsor the hell out of this. Maybe mess around and get a medal. I don't know. I'm just going in there to qualify. Maybe mess around and get a medal in boxing.
Our best chance is when esports becomes an Olympic sport.
Yeah, but by the time that's the case, Olympics have gone south anyway, so won't have to worry about it much anyways. So that's just
you
summer.
Didn't say like basketball.
No,
or
like I said,
triathlon. Or
if it involves like running, like actual running, not just like rugby where I'm sprinting into someone's head, not a chance. I've never been a runner, never will be a runner.
And out of all of these sports, you didn't mention the only one that you've actually played, which is hockey.
Well, no, that's just summer. Hockey's winter, son.
Oh yeah, that's true.
If we're not getting a winter, winter's different. Winter could do, like I said, bobsledding.
Winter we'll save for next episode.
Yeah, we'll save it. But I could do, I can also crush some Winter Olympics too if I'm not afraid of that.
Kelly and I had this conversation, just so you know. Remind me to talk to you.
I mean, everyone. Look, I think everyone overhypes how difficult it is to do something when all you have to do is focus and learn on that, and just be a master.
You just watched Luca way too much recently.
No. This was long before. I've had this belief in myself for a very long time. I think half the battle is confidence, and people just lack it. I could make the Olympics. Again, if I didn't have to worry about stuff and all I could do is focus, easy peasy.
Get divorced, give up the family.
If only. All right, so let's get into some esports though, Anuj, because everyone is already rooting for me. Everyone is already rushing to our Patreon to give us money so I can qualify for the Olympics. We have LAN Counter-Strike back with IEM Cologne. It is the first, I believe I saw on Twitter, the first Counter-Strike LAN event in roughly 15 months.
Crazy.
That is, I don't think in the history of Counter-Strike has ever gone that long without LAN matches.
Well, they were one of the first to stop LAN matches, and then they were also one of the last to kind of come back, I feel, It's not a bad thing. I think they kind of saved it also for the right time. Like, this is an amazing event to showcase your talent and, bring these guys to the big stage. So 15 months is just insane to think it's been that long. Like, how much has changed in our personal lives in 15 months? You're a father of 2. I'm now a father of 1. We're a year older. We've been working from home for a year and a half. You gave birth to a new PC. So like a lot has happened in 15 months, and here
Counter-Strike has had one patch.
They had one? Ancient. Yeah, we did get Ancient. Yeah, that's nice.
They added one map and about 5 other features that people hate. So
look at how much the esports landscape has changed in 15 months. I mean, you have a new competitor in the scene with Valorant, which was not even around, pre-COVID. So
no, I think at that point it was still Project A or whatever we were calling it.
Still like that name.
I don't hate it. Valorant grew on me though. I hated the name of Valorant at the start, but it's definitely grown on me. But yeah, no. So you have IEM Cologne, like you were saying, Anuj. A lot's changed. However, going into this, and I think you're right. I think this was strategically like waited on because teams have been in EU for long enough, and they've been quarantining off and on, and they could have quarantined for a LAN event. I mean, we saw League of Legends do Worlds forever ago, and that was a LAN event. So I think they could have done it, but I think you are right. I think they wanted to wait for a meaningful event. No knock to, Beyond the Summit or anything like that. I think they wanted to have a meaningful, big, major-like event. And so that's I think it's a perfect way to kick off the returning back to LAN with Cologne.
100%. I agree. And, it's nice that it's a little bit more of a long-form event, too, with a play-in round that just took place and ended today. and now heading into the main event, like you're right, it has a really major-esque kind of feel. And look, we're walking away with now, after today, the top 14 out of the 15 ranked teams um, remaining in this event. And the only one missing from it is OG, who took a loss again today and unfortunately eliminated. But they, they're the only ones. We literally have the best in the world going head to head, and what more could you ask for out of an event? Like, I mean, this is probably going to be better in terms of overall ranking than even the major is going to be able to produce, right? There's going to be region locks and things like that. Like, you're not going to have an event where the top 14 out of the 15 ranked teams in the world are all competing in. So it's something special, and to be in Cologne means even more. So if they waited for that reason, it's really paid off after what's happened in this playing round.
So you mentioned that some teams have already been eliminated, OG being one of them, which like you said, that might be the more shocking of them, but not, I mean, OG is one of those teams where they've fluctuated so much. I don't know what what were your expectations of OG going into this?
Well, look, I follow Launders closely, and he's been hyping up OG a lot. He talked about, I think he predicted them to win the event, if I'm not mistaken. And
Yikes.
so I had higher hopes for them. I didn't think they were going to win it, but I thought they were playing really good right now. And you've seen what a hot team can do. I mean, think of just Mouse Sports every 6 months, all of a sudden go on one of these streaks where they don't lose an event. OG was looking really good, but losing to Big. Big is such a good team. It's they if once they find their footing, and as they've done at times, right, they kind of tend to fall off and then come back just as a core five. Big is really impressive to me. So I don't look at taking a loss to them as like, oh, we got eliminated by like a lower ranked team. Like they're top 10 team in the world. Um, Tough out for OG that you have to play them at that point in time. But hey, that's part of it. Like you got to win earlier in the event when you're supposed to, essentially. And so,
Yeah, no shame in losing to Big. Renegades,
big
on the other
shame
hand,
in losing to Renegades,
2-0
right?
Renegades. Like, you got 2-0'd by Renegades. Yes, one went to OT, but that's the
That's
one where
the one that's gonna hurt, right? Like Renegades is sitting in, I think, barely the top 50 right now, and so
Can I be
it
honest with
just
you? I forgot they had a Counter-Strike team still.
I don't think you're alone in that sentiment, honestly. Like I really don't. Like just because they dropped their core roster of, AZR and all these guys that were, from Greyhound to Renegades, and they were there for so long, and then they kind of disappeared, and they've come back in this quiet way. And this is very Renegades like to do something like this. It almost seems like it doesn't matter what roster it is. This is a very Renegades-esque kind of move, and so they got a huge upset. I know this has got to be pretty devastating for OG to lose this one. You get knocked down by Big 2-0. You feel like you kind of have a win either way with MIBR or Renegades being your matchup. You get lucky and get Renegades, in that matchup, which I don't know if that's lucky. They're probably both roughly right around the same. And you take a 2-0 loss. Like there's just not much to be said. It hurts even more when Valde was your underperformer in that 2-0 loss, right? You need him to be the all-star that he is, and when he doesn't show up, it requires everybody else to maybe do more than they're either capable of or press a little bit more than they need to. And so when your star player is not fragging, anybody's capable of getting upset, and that's what happened here.
I think the other team that I had a lot of attention on, don't know necessarily expectations, but attention nonetheless, were Evil Geniuses. Obviously, being one of the only NA teams at this event that I think, from a big org, like, no knock on Bad News Bears, but you're here off of technicality of what NA's been for the last 15 months. Then you have Complexity, which I guess
They're
is
not NA.
technically, I don't know.
No, technically they're not even NA though. I don't.
Okay, are
think.
they like
So,
officially? I don't know where they're officially falling on like
yeah,
HLTV.
I think they're like full blown. They're not a full blown EU roster, but they are an EU
Right.
team,
I
I
don't know if
believe. And so,
yeah.
and then you already had Liquid in the main event.
Right.
So
So for the
yeah,
play-ins, Evil Geniuses was kind of like your only shining hope for NA fans to even show a glimmer. Now, Evil Geniuses, they've been on the rough spot. They've been on the outside looking in. I think they've made quite a few roster changes that weren't necessarily their choice, right? They've had players moving over to Valorant, players retiring early. So never a good look when you're an org, because then you're shuffling for your own roster spots, trying to throw things together. That
EU has not had a good event since October of last year. Since October of last year, IEM North America, they placed third. Last event they won was August of last year, ESL Cologne, North America. They got first place, right? Like, so that was when it was completely split during COVID. So it's been a long time. So since Evil Geniuses has been good, right? Like the last time they were good, they had Ethan and Tarek both on that roster. It's a long time ago. And I really did not have like overly high expectations. Like Michu hasn't been competing in forever. He was sitting on that Envy roster that wasn't doing anything, right? Like they weren't really competing. They had constant turnover. Like he just hasn't played competitive tier 1 CS in a long time. You know, Stanislaw, as much as I really like the guy and I honestly want him to be successful, it feels like we kind of hit these walls with him as IGL, where your team can be like good, but they don't have the ability to be great. Breeze is underperformed, and then OBO is a young talent, still kind of working. It just this team seems like it's still missing something for me, and I think they can still improve with from where they are today. But I'm not shocked that they're not moving on.
I don't know if I'm Stanislaw. Mentally, I don't know where I'm at right now, right? Because you are a veteran CS player on a roster that I don't know if they did. Okay, I'm looking at it right now. They did end up hitting number 1 last year, and they were in the top 5 for a while. And then, like we just mentioned, they took that steep dive, and I mean, are still there. They're out of the top 20 at the moment, and I don't see them getting back anytime soon to top 10, even top 15
It's like
level.
it all went to shit for them when they had to go playing from NA to like kind of hopping over to the EU side to start practicing and
And I don't think, if I
like
recall, like I don't think they necessarily wanted to move over to EU. Weren't they one of the last teams to go over there, and kind of almost felt like, in my opinion, it was
I thought
almost like,
Liquid was the last team to go over there.
was it EG or Liquid? I don't recall.
Either way,
But
like
I
it
know,
just hasn't. It's been a long
yeah.
time since they've done anything.
And so
I
I
think
don't
the
know if
only
I'm
other
Stanislaw, if I'm sitting here after this loss, getting eliminated early yet again with Evil Geniuses, and again you lost to Mouse Sports, which is a good team at the moment, so nothing to be too upset about. But again, a loss is a loss. Like we've learned that in any game, right? Valorant, Counter-Strike, it doesn't matter. If you're Stanislaw, you're a veteran player, looking at this roster, where do you go? NACS, what options do you have? I'm not saying any time there's a veteran player who struggles in NA, you have to make a jump over to Valorant while your stocks are still high. But if you're Stanislaw, like what do you do right now?
the thing for him is, unfortunately, his individual performance hasn't been bad. He's actually doing decent on the roster. He's not he's not, when I say the reason, he's not the reason they're failing in the sense of from a performance standpoint. The issue that I have is like I don't feel like the other guys around him are elevating to the level that they need to play at for them to be a dominant roster. Like Cirque and Breeze were hard carries for EG when they had two other really good fraggers in Ethan and Tarek, right? But Cirque and Breeze found a way to stand out. Now, granted, you've lost those two guys, so more of the burden is going to fall on Cirque and Breeze to do that, but they've fallen off, since those changes were made. Like, they just haven't been the same players. And so I don't know. You're right. I don't know where he would go ultimately. There's just very few options other than like switching over to Valorant if that's an option
And
even
it just
in
it's like
that sense.
it's a shame because it definitely seems like with your NA,
With NA, there's like two or three teams, and that's it. If you're talking about wanting to staying in tier one, there are options for you if you're willing to fall down and work your way back up. But not everybody has that kind of patience or the ability to do that as he's
I
an
mean, are
older
there even enough
player.
players to do that too, though? Like, if you're honestly thinking, hey, I want to go down, just kind of keep my skills there, keep them warm, so when the roster spots open up. But in order to do that, like you said, you have to at least have some competent teammates that you feel confident around you, right?
That are not going to get plucked by another org at some point, right? Like if you go down and you find that one superstar and you're like, hey, I'm gonna work with this guy because I know he's badass, then you're also thinking, how long is the clock ticking before he does get pulled up by a Liquid or an EG who's making a roster move at some point. And so yeah, I mean there's just the options become really tough if it's not working on one of the handful of NA teams that are even in the picture, as sad as it is to say, there's just very few. The only region that's having a tougher time right now this weekend is Brazil. They only have one team in the main event, and that's Furia, who is already in the main event. I think they had three opportunities, if I'm not mistaken, to get in with MIBR, Team One. That might have actually been it. But both getting eliminated. Obviously, MIBR being the headliner name, they fell, to Renegades 2-0. That it's surprising because this NA region, when we consider Brazil and North America, was like a really strong region for like 4 or 5 solid years in Counter Strike. Thinking back to the Luminosity days, even when Cloud9 was like a good team, not the best team, but they were a good like competitive team, consistently good team at least. Times
They
have
could
changed quite a
qualify
bit.
for majors, right? They wouldn't get far in them, but they could qualify.
Yeah,
Much
they,
like
they
me
were
in the
like locks
Olympics.
to be in, right? You knew they were going to be in those events. Like you were going to have a couple of teams representing you. It's like now you're kind of banking on Liquid to carry the load here, and then obviously Furia. Like that's really it, and it's not like I have a ton of hope or faith in like Liquid to maybe win one of these events right now.
No, but Brazilian CS, instead of comparing them to like with NA, I would look at it more like the French scene, where both of them kind of did it to themselves in the sense of they only kind of stuck around within their own scene and tried to build rosters up with other Brazilian free agents. And then what happened, same thing with the French CS, is eventually it's just
You've
everyone has,
regurgitated the same name so
yeah,
many times.
like
Like, what are you
everyone
gonna
has
do?
played with everyone. This person doesn't like that person. Well, this guy's only going to play with this guy. And so it's like you're seriously like sitting here trying to, put together a puzzle of pieces that just don't fit anymore.
Well, this is exactly what ends up happening then, right? Fallen goes to North America. You have Colzera, who joined an international roster, now rosterless at the moment. But like, your group kind of is gonna suffer because they're gonna have to go to other regions to even compete. So then you're gonna hurt your region even more because the names that are big and able to build teams are not even playing in your region anymore. And so, yeah, I mean, but both the NA and Brazil are. Uh, yeah, I'm struggling. It's just been a struggle, and this event was really, really no different.
But for some of the teams that did highlight, if we want to end on a happy note, Mouse
For
Sports
sure.
continued their uptick. I thought Mouse Sports looked exceptionally well, defeating Evil Geniuses there. I think for the last match of the day was what it was, but they defeated them 2-0. Nuke was a close one for a little bit on the first half, but either way, I thought Mouse looked really well between Rops and Frozen. I think
Frozen.
both of them
Yeah.
actually looked well. It's good to see Mouse kind of picking this up because I know we always joked about it where it's like you always know it's the end of the year when Mouse Sports kind of starts playing well. But it seems like so far the majority of 2021 Mouse has been looking really well.
Yeah. The move for Dexter, which a lot of people, including myself, questioned, has paid off crazy dividends for him. This is this the opposite of the Stanislaw effect that I'm talking about right now. Is Dexter comes onto a team and all of a sudden Rops is putting up career performances right now. He looks like one of the top 3 best players in the world. He had a 1.6 plus rating today in both maps combined against EG. Frozen also competing at a really high level. Like your best players have become elevated since Dexter has joined that roster. Acor has been, I think, another fantastic addition as an opper. Bymass was, or BMOS, I'm pronouncing his name wrong, I know I am. Got kind of tossed away from the whole Fnatic situation, and or FaZe situation has found a home. Wait, Fnatic or FaZe? I can't even remember now. One of the two. Has found a home here, and so this roster has looked really good. They did take that early 2-0 beating to Nip, and Nip handled them, I feel like, fairly convincingly in that matchup. They rebounded really nicely in losers and showed that they, belong in that top 16 to compete this weekend. And speaking of Nip, they looked again. Device was able to stand out, which I think is we've been kind of waiting for some of these performances from him, right? He's almost playing that passive LeBron James kind of role, I feel like, since he's been on Nip, where I know I'm the guy and I know I can take over, but I'm trying to fit in with
Yeah, I was
the
gonna
boys.
say he's the new kid, right? He doesn't want to come in and make the bold joke right away. He's gonna feel for the water, see where everyone's at.
But they have convincingly advanced, and it was nice to see like the really good teams play well. Like that's what I was hoping for, right? I didn't want to see like Nip, Vitality, big these guys drop games really early and then they're scratching and clawing their way into this event, coming in maybe with a little bit of less confidence. Like the best teams showed out, and you could tell this meant a lot to them to make it to that main stage. And so you did have Nip advance, you did have Vitality win
Out of
both
all
their
the
first 2
phase
games.
for the first, like, the top bracket, right, in the play-ins, FaZe was the one team that surprised me to 2-0 complexity with
and I was just getting to them because that's the biggest surprise, right? Is like they looked really good, and it was twists. We've been kind of making fun of this transition a little bit that he's had, but he like showed up, and he showed up in a really big way for them in that complexity matchup. And 2-0 complexity in that situation, I think means a lot because FaZe has only been in like hard fought matches. Like it feels like every match, that if they're losing, it was close, but they just found a way to fail. This was good to get that W and get it in a convincing way, especially on Nuke, where it was like a 16-5, 16-6 game. Like they handled him nicely, and Twist did everything he needed to do. Like he looked like an all-star. It almost felt like for the first time on FaZe, he was able to kind of elevate his game to that level. So
and then like we said with Olafmeister too being the sub, and
it's weird, man, but
so
this dude still makes plays.
and
It's
here's
still fun to watch.
The weird thing about it though is you're right. He still makes plays. They're still performing well, but it's like, where do you go, right? Like, is he?
It seems like a stopgap, right?
Like, is he an honest? Like, are they even thinking like, hey, this is honest? A chance that he stays on the roster, right? Like, is this even? Are they remotely thinking the next 3 events, like, hey, you know what, this could work out, maybe we can convince Olafmeister to stick around full time? I just don't think he's there anymore. Like, mentally, I don't think he's there for a full-time spot.
Yeah, like my heart tells me this is just like he's going to be here for a few events until they find like a long-term replacement. But at the end of the day, you never know, right? Like all it could take is in those few events, FaZe looks really good. FaZe comes out and looks really good in Cologne and makes a semifinal or makes a final. Who knows what that does to the confidence level, how that would re-energize Olafmeister. Like when Olaf left, FaZe was in a struggling department already. It's not like he left at a prime time and has come back in these piss poor times. Like he left in tough times, he's come back in poor, in tough times. So if they were to start winning, like, yeah, that could definitely be a long-term solution. he's not bad. You know, if anybody's looking at him as like, damn, like Olaf needs to go because he's just old, like he's not bad. Like he actually makes some really clutch plays for him. He's not gonna probably top frag for him,
It's just
but
like long-term solution. Is he like the roster move that
I think it just depends on like his motivation, right? Like how much does
and
he
that's what I'm
actually
just saying. I just think, like you said, like
that's the tough part,
if
right?
they keep winning, sure, like I'll always like, hey, if I'm on the fence, as long as we're winning, I'll always be on the right side of the fence. But if things go rough, you can't have your guy just constantly bail out every time.
Like how long have we been saying this about Fnatic though, right? With JW and Crims, like things are really good at random points and then they get really tough and we're like, oh, they need to make a change, like they need some young bloods in there, and then all of a sudden they spike again to top 5. Like it's possible that you could do it with not your heart being 100% in it, but we have to see it over a period of time, and this is just 1-2 events, so well, let's see how they do, how they end up faring. Making the main event is nice, but if you get knocked out first round, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day, right? So,
and they do have a chance for that tomorrow because the main event, which is actually kicking off tomorrow. So by the time you are listening to this, matches would probably already finish because it is starting bright and early, 6 a.m. for us here in the Central Time Zone. You have the first match of the day, which I believe is Mouse Sports versus Gambit. So what a hell of a way to kick off the event.
And Liquid versus Nip, same time.
Oh, same time?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so those are intense matches to start. Gambit, Mouse Sports, Nip, Liquid. Lot to look into for those main events. We don't have to dive too far into it, but predictions?
Man. Can I give you a finals prediction, or are you looking for a winner here?
No, you could just do finals or teams make it out, because the way this is so you have Group A, Group B, double eliminations on both sides, and 4 make it out to the playoffs.
Okay, so let's go with our playoff picture right now, and then
Or I guess 6 technically make it in the playoffs.
4 from each side, I thought you said, right?
No, top 3 from each side.
Top 3 from each side. Okay, so from Group A, I'm gonna take Gambit, Nip, and
that second half, that bottom half is so hard to pick.
I'm gonna take Mouse Sports.
Okay.
My heart is thinking also G2, but I'm gonna go with Mouse and say Mouse loses that first game, and then they can roll through the rest of the bracket.
Never bet on G2, right? Like you never want to bet your heart on G2
because it's like too hard right now with them. Group B, I'll go Navi, Vitality. Give me Heroic, because they're going to be playing from a dorm room. That might be kind of convenient for them with that whole COVID situation. One of their players tested positive. I don't think they'll be playing their first round match in the arena. I think they're going to be playing it remotely, if I'm not mistaken, or what I thought I read. I think that is a little bit of an advantage in a way of nerves that a lot of those players have not had to feel in a big game matchup, especially for that team. Like that team is not built with a bunch of former LAN players. In fact, like Cadian, Refresh probably has a little bit of LAN experience. The rest of these guys are fairly young, so might be an early advantage for them to be playing from the hotel room. So I'm gonna go Navi, Vitality, and Heroic to advance out of Group B.
So we're very similar here. In Group A, I would say Gambit. I would say Mouse. And my third is where I'm a little bit more iffy on. I think it's going to come out of either Virtus Pro or Big.
Dang, no Nip.
I not right now.
And no Liquid, no USA. Right after July 4th. That's rough.
Yeah, I just have no faith in NA Counter-Strike at this point, though.
It's hard, right?
Especially
it's really hard.
Like, because it's like, when was the last time we even saw Liquid play at like this type of caliber? When
was the last time we saw Liquid play?
I think they were in some NA qualifier RMR event, were they not? Like, not that long ago, but like, those are, I mean, hell, they've probably had scrims that were better than that.
Event for Liquid
Summit
was Summit 8, May 20th.
No
now July
way.
7th.
They haven't played at an actual official match since May 30th.
That's kind of crazy, isn't it?
That's insane. That's insane to
Especially
think
for a
about.
team that's known as the Boys of Summer or whatever. Like, they haven't been playing during the summer. So
No, so that reinforces my lack of confidence with them. In Group B, give me Navi, Heroic, and just because we don't have any money on the line, I'm going to say Furia. It's a bold prediction, but Vitality's been shaky enough for me to say that I think Furia could squeak in if I want to be bold with this prediction.
yeah, Furia is also. I mean, I feel like it's been a while since I've also watched them, although they've competed more recently. They played in the Gamers Without Borders, but like prior to that, they really hadn't played anything big again. I think since Summit. Yeah, I mean that not a bad pick. I'm kind of curious to see what kind of Furia we get. I think this is Honda's first time on land, so it'll be fun to. It's just going to be a fun weekend of Counter Strike, honestly.
Can't tell you the last time we did predictions and not one of us even thought about Astralis.
The whole situation just seems jacked, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, you don't have a main opper. You have a coach who is, even
has
if they
publicly
knew that he
voiced-
was thinking of leaving, it's just being publicized now, right?
And even other teams are memeing on it. Have you seen that? I think it was... What team was it? Maybe Heroic? Was it Heroic? Another team is like memed out like they did like a fake coaching announcement for that Zonic was going to sign with them. But it's like 100%
They have
meme.
not placed top 3 in an event since January 24th. Blast Premier Global Final, they got second place, and they have not placed in an event since then.
Yeah, I just I don't see that changing anytime soon. In fact, I think
It
that
gets
might
worse before it gets better.
I was
right?
gonna say that might be a roster that we see blown up here in a little bit, especially because like Zonic leaves. I think the original core roster, their contracts are almost done, so they don't even have to worry about selling them. Like they are straight up going to walk for nothing, right? So I don't see it getting any better anytime soon for Astralis on the CS side of things. In fact, wouldn't be surprised if we eventually just see them bowing out, because it's not like they're an org that just has that power to sign the players. Like their entire entity was based along that core roster. It's not like Astralis is a huge org like Cloud9 or Liquid or Fnatic or FaZe where it can attract players to come into it. I just don't think Astralis is at that point. They're going to have to make a move like Gambit or Heroic where they kind of phase out for a little bit, build up some roster from the academy team or whatnot, and then maybe we'll be shocked when we see them back in. But I don't see them all of a sudden signing big name players.
It's only going to get worse before it gets better. Glaive has a kid on the way.
Oh,
no
yes.
knock on the kid. Happy for him. It's blessed.
But it's also a curse.
It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. Trust me.
It
Trust me.
doesn't
So
matter.
I think Astralis is in for a tough time here.
So main event, it does start tomorrow. Like we said, by the time you're listening to this show, matches will most likely have already started and or finished. And we will obviously recap on next episode as well as far as what's happened. Let's get into some e-news real quick before e-news. 2 things. Shout out Tampa Bay Lightning. Won the Stanley Cup. No spoilers.
Oh, nice.
But
was that 4-1 series?
4-1 series. Shut them out. Game 5. Won it at home. Did they throw Game 4 in Montreal, Anuj, so they could celebrate at home?
Yeah, I feel like the Stanley Cup, the winner's been on the road so many times recently.
I mean,
like it just
probably for like the last 5 or 6 years. I feel like
it just feels like it's been a long time. So it is cool to get a dub on your home ice.
Back to back, first time that's been the case since I believe the Penguins, and good to see. As a Tampa fan, I'm happy. But not like a lifelong, not like it was like the Red Wings. If it was the Red Wings,
we're doing traditional sports shout outs. Let's go ahead and give a shout out to Federer got eliminated from Wimbledon. Might be the last time we see that legend on
Almost 40
on
years old.
that
Might be 40.
court, and so he got a standing ovation on his way out. It was really cool, like a touching moment for a player like that, well deserving. So shout out to Fed if he's listening.
Oh, he is. He's a huge Astralis fan. Huge Astralis fan. All right, so looking here before e-news, let's tell you about the sponsor, Philly Esports. PhillyEsports.net, they are doing their summer series. The event schedule is up. Sign-ups for their first event, the Call of Duty Cold War 4v4 event. It is July 18th. You sign up. Get your boys in to play. It is a huge prize pool, $500 just for a free sign-up. Top 8 teams move on to the championship, where you can win even more money between the Call of Duty League, Rocket League, and Valorant. That goes all the way from now until September 26th. $30,000 is at stake here. So sign up. It is free. What do you have to lose other than gaining all of the glory? PhillyEsports.net. All right, e-news. In CS, Golden has been benched by Fnatic, who is not in Cologne, by the way.
Yeah, Fnatic's like probably on the verge of some huge roster takedowns. They haven't been practicing together for like the last month with Golden, and it'll be interesting to see what direction they go, because they also feel like they're due for an overhaul potentially.
In Valorant news, Drone has been benched on TSM's starting lineup. A little surprised by this. I think this is just a victim of, again, we say it once and I'll say it 1,000 times, the VCT life cycle. I think I've read some articles stating that it might have been just because TSM was very duelist heavy. But again, I felt like Drone was one of your better players. So to drop him just because you have too many duelists seems a little funny. But either way, I don't think he'll have an issue finding another roster.
No, I mean, great dude, and he's had an awesome run with TSM. And TSM is just in a tough spot right now. They've made 3 roster changes in just the past couple of months with Brax, Cutler, and now Drone. And they have some work to do. So we'll see who they replace him with. There's some rumors out there, but we'll see who ultimately gets the nod to be their 5th. And look, they're gonna have to prove it all over again. You're no longer able to lean on your previous accomplishments, because at this point they don't mean much. Like, too much time has passed.
In COD, the big announcements have actually came up. CDL first off is back this week. Major 5 will be held once again here in Arlington. So hopefully, Anuj, we will be able to go this time around, because they are allowing fans back into the event. So
the event starts on Monday morning, 8 o'clock.
Wouldn't be surprised with how they've been doing it. No, so it's good to see back at Arlington Esports Stadium. Fans are back, though. Little PSA, from what I understand, I guess it could change between now and then, but they still are requiring masks there. So bring your masks. For anyone, this also goes out to anyone on Friday going to the Dallas Fuel event. I know Texas, a lot of places have ditched the masks. Arlington Stadium is not one, and you will not be allowed in without it. So wear it. And
the Major 5 will not even be playing multiplayer. They're only going to be playing Warzone.
Would you, probably more money involved there, right?
Yeah. I mean, if you're one of the best, it could be.
And the other big news, though, for COD is Champs will be August 19th through the 22nd in Cali. So, don't know if fans will be there or not. I don't know California's rules, but
I'm going to assume fans will be allowed at that venue if they're deciding to host it there.
True.
Otherwise, they probably would have picked a different
Especially
location.
considering all the teams are here, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, come fly out to California and do a studio event with no fans.
I'm assuming that'll be a fan-based event. Like, that'd be really, really odd to choose a location where you can't have fans when everything else is going back to the LAN.
And speaking of location, the TI-10 will be held this October in Bucharest, Romania.
40+ million on the line.
And I don't know the stadium that it's being held at, but it's at like a soccer stadium over there. And apparently it's like going to be like the full-on stadium from what I understand. So that's going to be pretty badass to see. Can't wait for that. And Nuge,
Don't worry about
Warzone players. No, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Oh,
We'll
all
just
right.
kinda talk about it briefly.
Change of plan. In other news, ESIC hands down a 1-year ban, not for Counter-Strike players, but to 3 Runeterra players, which is the League of Legends card games, for those who might not know. As they colluded together and cheated in the ESL Mobile Open.
Fascinating stuff. That's, hey, look, at least I got handed down a 1-year ban. Whatever, like, you can't do it, but everybody's waiting on one piece of information from ESIC. So I will not care about any sort of ban, even if it's justified or unjustified, until I hear what the hell's going on with our Counter-Strike scene. So ESIC, give me the information we're waiting for, and then I will appreciate your body of work later.
And Nintendo has announced the new Switch, which has been...
The new old Switch?
Yeah, like, you want to talk about... And maybe it's our own fault, Anuj. This is not Nintendo's fault, technically, for the overhyped, because everyone was expecting, like, a Switch Pro, like, 4K graphics, and... nice screen, and boy, like everyone was expecting so much, and all they did
get the OLED.
That'll
be nice.
An Ethernet port, a little larger screen, but honestly, nothing that I felt like couldn't have been in the original Switch, which is only 4 years old. It's not like OLED was like some new tech. Like they could have done it.
No, it's like it's OLED. Yeah, they could have done it. Probably a smart move on their part to save it for later, because you can resell a unit that way, right? And then come out with the Pro version later on.
Right.
It's that stupid ass Ethernet port that really irks me, that all of a sudden they found a way to put it in the design.
Well, you know how they did it. They got rid of a USB port. So they got rid of one USB port, which everyone used for a USB Ethernet port anyways, and put in an Ethernet port. So everyone's like, that's cool and all, but you're still not really figuring out, like, you're making a problem again by figuring out the solution.
Everyone's going to have to buy an Ethernet port adapter that turns into a USB port.
Right, like, Nintendo never ceases to amaze me with just their unwillingness just to do, like, what everyone wants.
Like, quality of life changes is not their thing.
No, like, only Nintendo in 2021 could be like, hey, guys, guess what? We have an Ethernet port. Like...
And taking away one less USB.
Like, imagine being like the sales guy. Like, you really want me to put that in the slideshow? Like an Ethernet port? Do you want me to say that it's in color as well? Like, come on. So, look, if you have a Switch, there's literally no reason to go out and buy this. None whatsoever. No. Unless you just
You're waiting for the Pro version where
right.
There's really some, like, super enhanced
and
updates.
If you don't have a Switch, I guess you could still get this, but at the same time, yeah, I would just almost wait for a Pro version coming out. I mean, the system's already 3 years old, or 4 years old. So a Pro version can't be too far around the corner. So, I don't know. I don't know what Nintendo's doing. No one knows what Nintendo's... I don't even think Nintendo knows what they're doing half the time.
Black and white does look nice, though. I'll give them.
It does look sick, but you can also just go buy white nunchucks and save yourself $300. Yeah. So, or what are they called? They're not nunchucks. What are they? Joy-Cons.
Kicker flippers.
Joy-Cons. Worst controllers, anyways. You wouldn't want to buy them if you could. All right, so there you have it. There is e-news. There is the episode. Episode 341 of the Center Ring Esports Podcast, brought to you by Alt and Philly Esports. Thank you for sponsoring the show. Follow us on Twitter at the Center Ring and join our Discord. The link is in the description there as well. If you play World of Warcraft, we are heavy into 9.1. So if you want to hit us up, join us. We're pretty much in there every single day, getting ready for mythic grinds here and there. So hit us up in Discord if you want to join us. Other than that, if you want to play anything, you just hit us up. We're always down for something. Give us an excuse to tell our wives we have to hang out with listeners. That's really all we need you for.
100%.
Like, that's it. That's the only reason we do this.
Use, guys. We need this.
Yeah. Only reason we do this podcast is so we have an excuse to play video games. Anyways, we will be back Sunday night, maybe Monday night. We'll see. Seems
It will be Monday.
All right. Well, there you go. So Monday night we will be live. Recap some Cologne. Maybe get some VCT action up in here. We'll see. We'll see what's up. But until then, again, follow us on Twitter at The Center Ring for a Nuge. I'm Tim. We'll see ya. Okay, so
I'm gonna be on Hudson duty all weekend. She works Friday and she works Sunday, which means Saturday she's gonna come home exhausted and then need
Hello.
to also like relax for a full 24 again the next day. So
sweet.
I'm gonna be hardcore dad mode, which is not a bad thing. It's just a tiring thing, especially when you feel like you like have to entertain all day. I can't get him to like want to watch TV. Like now we're starting to turn it on a little bit and see if he'll like watch it. And his attention span is like, I don't know,
Well,
I'm is this like normal? Like it's like 10 minutes tops. Tops.
yeah,
10
like don't like. So anyone who's like, oh yeah, I let my kids watch TV. What they mean is they have the TV on as their kids running around, and hopefully you'll get glimpses of them watching it throughout the day. Like only now is Shepard like sitting down to watch a movie or a show, but even then, it's like 10 focused minutes.
Yeah, like we get a song or two in of Coco Melon,
Yeah,
and then he's on to whatever caught
Yeah.
his eye.
that's normal. That's
Okay.
and then he'll be throwing stuff, and then all of a sudden go right back to Coco Melon for like another song, and then go right back to throwing stuff.
Yeah.
No,
He only notices if I turn it off. He's like, "Wait a minute.
Uh-huh.
Did you
Yeah.
just do that?
Coco
Why did
Melon,
you turn that up?"
Frozen, any Disney.
See, I've tried to turn on some Disney movies because I'm like, you know what? I wouldn't mind watching it.
At least they're movies and not Coco
like,
Melon.
Dude, Coco Melon is fuck that person.
Yeah.
Okay.
Coco Melon,
Seriously.
and on Netflix they have Little Baby Bum. If you watch that, it's the same thing as Coco Melon, just with a different accent, and maybe if you want to hear the same songs in a little different tone.
Yeah, the Coco Melon, it's really the starting sound that he recognizes really well.
Yeah, there's
Where it does.
Morgan has like something on Instagram where like it's parents who will play that in the background or like on their phone when their kid's in the other room, just see if they'll run in the room when they hear it.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny. All right, I'm going to kill the stream. Anyone in here, we're going to get to editing. Love your faces in chat. We'll be in our Discord.